right. Good evening. At this point, I'd like to call to order the Carver Conservation Commission meeting of Wednesday, August 17th, 2022. Going from our agenda, our first order of business this evening is an update from Pinegate Renewables. Mr. Flaherty.
Yep. Okay. Gary Flaherty, Carver Conservation Agent. Okay. At 60 Rochester Road, all the treated wooden piles have been removed with no issues. The holes were backfilled with sand. All right, and they use the same bog sand that they replenish the bogs with. The poles have been safely stored away. Since the cranberry vines took a hit, when they removed them, they're letting them rebound from that activity. So they've moved on to the Tremont Street site, and they have started removing the treated wooden piles about a week and a half ago. Between both sites, the whole removal process should take 70 days. And they're also going to backfill these holes with sand as well. They're going to start sampling around the areas where the poles were put in. If not already, it'll be real soon. The concrete pilings that they're going to use, they're still a work in progress. They're looking at a 90-day scheme, and they think the entire project will be completed around May 2023.
So they're backfilling all the holes, so now they're going to go back in and re-auger the holes out in order to set the piles?
That's my understanding, yes.
Because you can't drive this, you can't drive concrete.
Right.
Right.
May 2023?
That's when
That's the completion
assume
date.
the whole project will be finished.
Did they get the approval for the concrete yet? From the state?
She didn't say, and she wasn't sure.
Because we sent a letter
This is
We did.
Wooden that I spoke to. So I haven't heard anything, and she didn't hear anything yet either.
Could you check into that?
Yeah, I will.
Because we sent a letter off a couple months ago asking them to expedite that.
I mean,
Right.
she finally got a hold of me just, the end of last week, so.
This is Julianne?
Yes,
Okay.
it is, correct.
Did they say when we could expect to see the test results of the testing at the base of the holes?
They're starting.
If they're just starting to sample now, you got to give the lab, a couple weeks to run the analysis. So my best guess would be probably end of September.
I'm betting they're not going to sample the bottom of those holes if they're filling them in. They're going to sample the area around the pole.
But the whole point was to sample the bottom of the holes. That was pretty
I
specific.
don't think that was part of the requirement.
I don't think it was.
It was,
some
matter
of those poles
matter
are
of fact, it was, this is quite a few meetings back, but that was the main concern I had, and it was ratified in a set of minutes to confirm that testing at the base of where the pole was the whole point of doing testing at all.
I seem to remember down 18 inches or something like that.
I do too, because it was only leach where it's above the ground and rainwater hits it.
Yeah, but the whole point was how deep the poles had to be driven in the first place. That was
I'll check with her and see exactly where they're
Just
sampling.
let them know so that when
I mean, if they're pulling them out, the deepest holes, the deepest piles were about 35 feet.
Right.
I was going to say, sorry to interrupt, but I was just going to say, I think there are 2 or 3 times where I don't think I could have been more clear about the exact,
All right.
that exact point. So,
All right.
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. All right, so the 70 days to pull the poles from Tremont Street, and then approximately 90 days before they start putting in the concrete.
It's a 90-day scheme.
Right.
She did not give me a start date,
Okay,
but she did give me a project end date.
end date, okay.
We've got to make sure the state's okay with this too, so we don't start this nonsense all over again.
Right.
They
Well,
can't just start putting poles in the ground unless we make sure that the state signed off on this.
I think that's where they've had a delay, is in making sure that the concrete is utilizing all local
Well, it
materials.
seems to me that the original proposal back in November was to remove a pole and replace it with a concrete pile without having to dig a new hole or do any of that. Because if you didn't have, the hole didn't cave in, concrete is a little bit narrower than the wooden pole, so you'd take it out and you'd put a pole in the ground.
Right. But I
Now
don't,
we're taking them all out and we're filling them with sand, so now we've got to go back across the bogs with machines, start augering new holes. So
Right.
how much more damage is it going to do to the bog?
well, they're letting the vines regrow now, is what they said. But when we made these decisions back in November, we did not expect MDR to take 10 months to render a decision.
I got that, so let's make
So-
sure that they signed off on
Yeah.
it, so we don't get halfway through the next project and
All right.
find more of a problem we don't need.
Next up on our agenda is Jim Nowen, one of our members. We do not have a resignation letter from Jim Nowen yet. He's had a couple of little medical issues, so at this point, he's still a member
Like to
in
take
good
no
standing.
action.
Take no action. Next up, 187 Meadow Street, a proposed house. This is the light one.
Is that this one?
My computer's not.
What do you need?
Like it just a pen and paper. Is it not?
The computer's not working?
No, it's not.
We got a,
Well, someone gave Jim a Gary a new one.
that's great. We got
This is
a,
mine.
we got a legal pad for her, or something she take notes on?
It's just a scrap.
Can we take notes on something you have? Just, I'll just take it.
You want
Max
it
allowance.
It won't come on?
Even when you put power
I
on?
threw the charger on to see if it
Is the light on next to the charger? Is it?
Yeah, the keyboard's lit. The screen's not coming on. It's my computer. It's not like.
Okay.
Did you hold the button down for like 30 seconds or something?
Let it do a cold boot. Reset.
Well, just type it blindly and see what you come up with.
It's, well, it might as well, right?
Is it working?
I'll make it work. If at the very least I'll record it.
It's got a screen going.
Oh, good. Yeah, we got
Okay.
it on- It's on video.
All right. So, what's the address again? 187 Meadow Street. Gentlemen, please make sure you've signed in and introduce yourselves. Please.
My name is Derek Maxey. I'm here with my brother, Bruce, who owns the property.
So we were here a while back. I don't know if you guys remember me on this piece of property. So since then, we have a plan in front of you. And we're here for a little advice and a little guidance on what you folks think of the plan.
This is the lot that's overgrown as we speak, right?
Yeah, this is the
The one that's beside the two new houses
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
that are out on the street? Then there's this lot, then there's the two houses that way out back.
yes.
Yeah, remember we walked that?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. It's the bog that has.
Just trying to orient the street.
Yeah, the street's out here. It's off
It's out
the
here someplace.
off the picture. Yeah. Well, the first thing that I see that on this drawing is that there's no indication of where the 65-foot or the 100-foot buffer zones are. So it's awfully hard to make any kind of a decision without seeing that. So I can't render any advice or anything without seeing where this house lies in relationship to the buffer zone, the 65-foot no-touch zone and the 100-foot permission zone. So I do see ditches. I see a ditch, and it looks to me as though the proposed four-bedroom dwelling, one corner of that dwelling is in the ditch. So
Right.
that would be certainly problematic.
Now, are you gentlemen, were you planning on filling part of that bog?
We're planning on renovating the bog and keeping the spoils on site, squaring it off, making it more manageable.
Trying to get the 65 foot setback.
Right, yeah, we're trying to get that 65 feet.
Well, I would like to see this drawing with the 65-foot and the 100-foot.
Yeah, because they're showing just the edge of the bog.
Right.
65 foot to the edge, but we don't know where the rest of the wetlands are.
Right, but also, this is a proposed edge of the bog, which means that this section of
Is
wetlands
bog.
is being eliminated,
Yeah.
and it has to be reproduced somewhere else.
That's why I asked the Phil question, yeah.
Yep. So whatever acreage of the bog that you remove has to be replicated somewhere else on your property.
Sure,
That's easy.
yeah.
Okay, so we need to see all that.
Yeah, this needs to be a little more detailed than this. It needs to be actually a lot more detailed than this.
Yeah, we need to see where the 65-foot is currently, what you're proposing to do as far as changing the configuration of the bog itself, and where the area, the exact square footage of what you're eliminating from the current bog, where that's going to be replicated.
Without the bog? Without the bog? So if we eliminate some, we'll just build more bog?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
You also, I'd like to see the orientation on where this is to the street.
Yeah, we just need a smaller map,
Street.
a smaller inset that just shows the location regarding, in relationship to Meadow Street.
Right.
Okay, just like an little inset, loci.
It's not in there?
We can get that. It's easy.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, it just needs more detail.
Yeah. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to introduce a little bit about ourselves.
Yes.
My brother and I are third-generation cranberry growers. Currently, we have a bog in Lakeville and also Rochester, and a couple pieces here in Carver. I don't know if you remember, this is the old Roger, what was his? Heikler estate.
Eichler, yeah.
And my brother Bruce was friends with Roger for years, and then, of course, when he passed away, they approached us with this property. So that's why we had such a big interest in this piece here, as well as there was a couple other pieces as well. We are looking to do just a small house, just so we have some bog management on site. And we don't plan on doing any future subdividing or anything like that. This is just for this one site. We do have current water withdrawal permits with DEP. Those are current and up to date. And we're really here today just to get your guidance. We have an engineer. I think they get a little confused sometimes about what we want to do. We met with Brooke on site as well. We spoke with Gary. So we want to make sure we do the right thing for you guys. That's why we're here.
Okay.
Maybe I ought to get some more detail on the drawing and have Gary take a look at it,
Right.
so that he'll be on board, because I don't think he's
Right,
visited
this is the
this
first
site.
time I've seen
Yeah,
this,
we've
too.
been to the site a
Right.
couple of times.
Yes. Yes, we have.
And make sure, too, the wetland delineation is, really stands out on this, too. Because there's a lot of line work.
Would the commission entertain the thought of, versus filling in the bogs, actually building a dike across and maybe doing blueberries or some other type of, product there? Just filling in bog probably,
But right now, it's completely overgrown with trees and everything. You have to
Right.
take all that out anyhow.
yeah.
So you instead of putting sand back in and making a bog out of it, you put some soil in there and turn it into a blueberry patch
Yeah,
kind of
something
thing.
similar to that, just a thought.
I think as long as it remained wetlands.
And we want to do the, stay agricultural if we can.
Right. As long as it remains a wetlands, and there have been people who've turned bogs into blueberries,
Yeah.
and that's been allowable. So that's fine. There is another part of our bylaw that allows some leniency as far as the buffer zone is concerned for a house that is connected to a cranberry bog. But what goes into the deed in a situation like that is that the house and the bog are tied together forever.
Sure.
Yeah, they can never be separated.
We're good with that.
All right, so if you come back, we'll look up the bylaw and make sure that we know exactly where that stands. But from the standpoint of of making this drawing, you know, getting the things that we need on here for us to have a really good idea of what we're looking at. That would be helpful, and then we can take it from there. So-
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah, Gary will give you the color plans, but the BVW is usually blue, the 65 is usually in red, and the 100 is in green. So that it just makes it really easy to look at the plan and see where the delineation goes. So,
There is a checklist on our website.
Okay.
You know, there's a button off to the left, and it's got all the instructions for filing with Carver.
Do you want to show me the picture?
imagine Foresight's done stuff for the town before, they should know.
Yeah.
Although I'm not really super familiar with it.
No, I'm not either, but. Okay,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
my brother would like to present some pictures of bogs we just renovated in Rochester.
Sure.
Can you present
But you
it to-
guys don't really
You
know
can keep
me.
these.
Did you build that other new house that's
That's my daughter.
got the twisty driveway?
Yeah, that's my daughter. Yeah.
That's way out back?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, it
This
looks
one's
nice.
fa-
You did a real nice job with that. That's,
Thank you.
I like the way the driveway does its curl around, and it's real nice.
I will be telling her tonight. I think she'll
Yeah.
be glad to hear that. She's
Yeah,
been
that-
nervous through this whole thing, so I am too. But
Yeah, we hope to do this for one of the other kids.
Okay.
all right, I guess we're good.
You're a good dad.
Is that?
My dad didn't build me no
Oh,
house.
they can keep those for the
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that other house go up, and even through the construction, you guys were very careful about the wetlands areas.
Right.
Nothing was a mess. It
Wow.
just, they did a real nice job. They kept it nice and neat.
Too big for my liking.
Yeah, it's not a big house for two
Big
kids.
house.
It is a big,
Wow, these box look great.
Yeah, I don't think.
So some of those are older, like the
Yeah.
30-year-old ones, and a couple of them are renovations from 2 years
Got
ago.
it?
Yeah. All right, so if we can get a little bit more information on these drawings, and then we'll make sure that we'll bring the language of the bylaw that allows for some leniency if the house and the bog are going to be tied together, and then we can reconvene and flesh this out a little further, okay?
perfect.
Excellent.
Thank
Right.
you, everyone. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Thank you.
Take
Like
all
I
those
said-
plans back, or?
Yeah, I'll take, no, we keep those. We'll just
Get with Bob, and he'll give you the color scheme and so forth. Let him have your cards, they can get a hold of you. And the next meeting, we can certainly have that as an informal discussion. And then if it all
Yep.
looks like it's something that might work, then we can then have you file the NOI and go through all of that stuff.
Okay, thank you, fellas. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, 5 Linbia's Path, COC, SC 126-523. We all,
Sorry. I don't need that for this.
Mr. Jermaine,
Oh,
Mr.
that's-
Flaherty, Mr. Hall, and I went to Linbia's Path just within the last hour, and everything looked fine. So,
Yep.
I make a motion, we approve the COC, Certificate of Compliance, for 5 Lindia's Path, SE 126-523.
second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC. Does anyone have any comments? No? Everyone's good? Okay.
It looked good, it all looked really
It
good.
did.
They might come back with a request that we told them just get a hold of Bob. There are some massive pine trees that are literally 35 feet in the backyard. That's
Yep.
in the buffer, but it's right on the edge of the buffer in their lawn. And if the tree goes the wrong way, it'll take the house with it.
Yeah, they were
So-
very good in not encroaching
Yeah,
into
they
the area
did.
they didn't have to, or
The
they shouldn't.
grass ended and there was no damage. They did a
Right.
nice job.
Yeah. All right, so it's been moved and seconded to approve the COC for SC 126-523, 5 Linbia's Path. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0. Okay. We'll skip the minutes till later.
Give you the top line.
All right. If I recall, is this continued hearing continued
Yes,
again?
They actually gave us a written request to go to September 7th.
Okay. All right, so the continued hearing is continued once again till September 7th. All right, fine. New hearing, 20 Shoestring Road. Amended order of conditions for DEP SE 126-636. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, that a public hearing will be held at 7:00 p.m. on Wednesday, August 17th, 2022, in Meeting Room 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the amending of the order of conditions, MADEP File 126636, submitted on behalf of NGR Cape Cod LLC for proposed modifications to an existing campground facility, including utilities and the installation of wells within an isolated vegetated wetland within the 65 and 100-foot buffers zone to wetland resource area bordering vegetation wetlands, and within the 200-foot riverfront area.
There's more on the back.
Oh,
Variance from the town of Carver.
oh. There's so much paper here. A variance from the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Section 9.2.1.3/3 for the activities within with the 65-foot buffer protected under the bylaw. The project is located at 20 Shoestring Road, Carver, Massachusetts, map 124 and 125, lot 130-0-R and 3-A-R. All interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, my name is George Fett with SFC Engineering Partnership. Up till this point, you've been working with Dan Flores from our office. Dan is on vacation down in Philadelphia, and he asked me to come down here and fill in for him.
Okay.
I represent the application to amend the order of conditions that was originally issued on January 19th. You saw these plans on July 20th. You went on a site walk on August 3rd. I don't want to cut it short, but in the interest of brevity, I'll tell you that the plans are the same as they saw on both of those previous days, with the exception that we have since received review comments from Fuss and O'Neill as we're going through the planning board process, and they just offered additional controls that made the plan a little bit better. At the outlet of 2 culverts, they asked for improvements to the outlet apron. At their recommendation, we added erosion control blanket and wildflower mix on the slope near the laundromat. There's additional sediment control upstream of the bioretention area. In fact, there's 2 rows of it up there. And then on sheet 11, does everybody have these plans, Gary?
They all have a set.
Okay.
And
on sheet 11, there's clarification on what the site landscaping looks like. That demonstrates to you that the area that where a vehicle would pull in and the picnic area is a gravel area, and everything else in between is loamed and seeded. And you'll also see tree plantings there. Now, we've worked with Northgate on projects in New Hampshire and in Maine, and this is probably typical or similar to other projects that we've done. And where they can, they will save mature trees. So they'll work sites in between trees and make them fit. Our plan shows planting of all trees out there, all new trees. But that's assurance for you and the town that that's going to happen. But where they can, again, they would prefer the mature trees, which is one of the reasons for this amendment, which of course the essence of it is, rather than cut 12 feet of fill off the top of the hill, we're leaving it more at natural grade. That resulted in, of course, some differences in the wetland buffer impacts. But we feel that the improvements that are made on the hill as far as infiltration, stormwater management, more than make up for those impacts. As I said, I was, in the interest of brevity, I skipped through it because I think that you're familiar with it, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Germain.
I know that isn't there an issue with the, I guess you'd call it the check-in center, or the welcome center was in the 65? So that would obviously be a change to the order also, am I wrong?
It's,
This was brought up at the last meeting.
Yes,
It's on this
it's-
page here, with the tree.
what page?
My page is on number.
No, they're on lower right-hand corner. They should be numbered.
There's no number. I'm sorry, tell me.
Right under the CFC
Yeah,
engineering.
well, you need a
Number 10.
magnifying glass. Page 10.
Number 10.
I'm looking for the number to be in the big block. Sometimes
Oh,
it's easy
right.
to see, that's all I got. So see where the,
Yes, we're
we
the,
discussed that the last time.
we did, and that was part of our site visit, was to look at that area.
Right,
Right,
so that will need to be part of this
right.
additional change also.
right. Page 10 is what you're looking
Right.
at, right? Yep.
Yeah, it's the entranceway, the new check-in.
That's right, and that was moved up out of the 65-foot buffer and in the
Yeah, it's
pavilion.
actually in the 65, but that's,
It was moved up a hill. It's still within
Yeah.
65 feet,
I'm-
but it's
I'm sorry.
up a hill.
Yeah.
And also, there's a guardrail. I think that
Yeah,
that the
right.
abutting neighbor asked for a little bit further west on the entrance road.
I haven't been up there, but that puts the entrance at just before you get into that whole new area.
Yep, on the
Yes,
left.
and it's uphill. It's on a rise. So it's, even though it's within the 65 feet, it's not
Hey.
subject to any kind of flooding or anything.
The permitted impact in the 65-foot buffer is 4,500 square feet, and with this new submittal, they're only gonna impact 1,900 square feet, so they're taking away 2,600.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. Now, you said you were doing some plantings around the bio.
Well, around,
The
what I
bioretention.
refer to around the bioretention is silt fence. or
Oh,
silt
okay. Oh, I
socks
see.
That were upstream of that.
Okay.
But indeed, all the way around that bioretention area are the campsites. At each campsite, there's at least one new tree being planted.
Okay.
And my discussion was that Northgate prefers to leave the mature trees where they can.
Okay.
They will do that.
All right. And can you just explain again the culverts by the proposed laundry building?
Yeah, what sheet is that on?
Well, it's you can see it on sheet 5. The proposed laundry building is just north of the maintenance building.
That's right. Those culverts are from exiting from the deep sump catch basins, which in themselves are best management practice. The change that we made was carrying the riprap slope all the way down the bottom of the slope, the riprap apron, I'm sorry, to the bottom of the slope. That was in response to Fuss and O'Neill comment.
Okay. All right.
That's out of our jurisdiction anyway, no?
Yes, it is, actually. As is the bioretention area, but that's
Yeah.
still fine. Okay.
So actually, all we're really dealing with is that welcome center in the 65,
And the reconfiguration of the road.
right?
That's coming down the hill towards the area where they have the I guess transient pads.
That's right. There's that area up there. I'm
Yeah.
going to argue that, in fact, the best management practices that we're putting in place help water quality and water volumes that otherwise it's the job of the buffer to help improve the water quality as it exits the wetland.
Now, that's the roadway that you called that, it's labeled Dogwood, right? It should be on sheet 4.
On sheet 4, there's that small segment coming out of phase
Right.
2. Correct.
Okay.
Right, Dogwood all the way down to Kennedy.
Right.
Yep. All right, does anyone on the
I think
commission?
you've done a fabulous job with this thing.
Yeah, I think this is actually better.
It's a night and day improvement from what was there.
Yep. Dave, any questions, any concerns? Mr. Badger?
No.
No?
Mm.
Nothing?
And you,
Mr. Jermaine?
good.
All right, then I'll entertain a motion to
The audience,
close the hearing.
the public
Oh,
hearing,
any
audience?
public comment? All right,
Make a motion to close the hearing for 20 Shoestring Road on the amended order of conditions, DEPSC 126638.
do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved.
Sorry,
and-
636.
It's been moved and seconded to close the hearing for the amended order of conditions, DEPSC 126636. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate
We
it.
still have to,
We still have to vote on the variance.
on the variance and the, we just closed the hearing. We have to grant the variance and grant the amended order of conditions.
So what do we're going to approve?
We vote on the amended order of conditions, is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Because we've already issued a variance.
Right,
So we're
as-
just,
As submitted.
we're just voting on the amended
So
order of conditions.
Make a motion that we,
Just how you worded it.
Right, okay.
Exact, yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to approve the amended order of conditions for DEP SC 126636, as shown on the plans dated 6/30/2022.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to approve the amended order of conditions for 126636,
That's the big one.
as shown on the plans.
It's this.
Um,
Go ahead.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
All right.
Hearing none?
Do you want, before he
It's
takes
approved.
off, do you want us all to sign the big set? Do you want us to sign just a small set?
It's up to you. I'd rather see a sign
Yeah,
this for the
yeah.
file.
All right, why don't you give it,
I would,
and
yeah.
ask him to sign off on that, and then we'll sign it. Yeah, I'll give you this. And I'll stick it on that plan when it comes through.
They're gonna put a sign-off sticker on it, so if you just sign it anywhere right there.
That's the one we're gonna put in the file so that everybody's on the same page, so that nobody shows up with a different plan.
Understood. Date?
Today's 8/7. Great, thank you, sir.
You bet.
I'm probably gonna put the label on this here. Then I can send it down. You want everybody to initial a page, and you want to just initial every page, or you want the whole board to initial every page? Or
No, I don't think so. We have to,
Just the cover sheet,
yeah, I think so. That's what we've done in the past.
would be it like?
because it's a bound.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, we're all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. All set with that? Okay. 18 Indian Street, DEPSC 126-650. It's an NOI. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, Citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:45 p.m. Actually, we have to wait a couple of minutes.
Yeah, 7:45.
Yeah,
Let's
we
do
should
the
wait.
minutes.
All right, we'll do the minutes. Let me just sign this.
Sorry about that.
Yep, we have to wait because it's as listed, so.
What happened to 300 Tremont Street? Was going to come back on August 17th, according to the minutes.
She bowed out.
Withdrew?
She withdrew. She's not going to pursue that, that
Doggy
project
daycare.
anymore.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for August 3rd, 2022 as written.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of August 3rd. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, it's approved 4-0. All right, so now we'll just wait a few minutes till 7:45. And
We could take a 5-minute recess. Take a 5-minute recess.
we can take a 5-minute recess if you'd like. Area 58 at 7:37. We've got 8 minutes before we can go back on if you want to just take a breather. Okay. Thank you. All right, we're back. A new hearing, 18 Indian Street, NOI DEP SC 126-650, notice of intent. Notice is hereby given in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, MGL, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Carver Wetlands Protection Bylaw, citation 9.2, that a public hearing will be held at 7:45 p.m. on Wednesday, August 17, 2022, in Meeting Room Number 1 at the Carver Town Hall to hear the notice of intent submitted by the J. McKinnon Company, Incorporated, for the construction of a single-family dwelling, grading, and utilities within the 100-foot buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland. This project is located at 18 India Street, Carver, Massachusetts, map 93, lot 1-3. All interested parties are invited to attend. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Paul Bacus from Grady Consulting, Kingston, Massachusetts. On behalf of the applicant, J. McKinnon Company, here to present notice of intent for 18 Indian Street, NOI number SE 126-0650 for construction of a single-family dwelling with grading and utilities within a 100-foot buffer. The wetlands were delineated by South River Environmental on May 25th, 2022. The proposed dwelling is located outside of the 65-foot buffer, but within a portion of which is within the 100-foot buffer. The proposed septic system is located in the front of the house outside of the 100-foot buffer. The dwelling is proposing to use a well that is located towards the rear of the property that is outside of the 65-foot buffer. The location of the well was governed by the town setback requirement from the septic system, which I believe was 250 feet. Erosion control along the limit of work is in the form of a silt sock, and a construction entrance is proposed. With that, I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
It's 150 feet.
150 feet, excuse me.
All right, well, we went and looked at this today. And I'll take comments from those of us who were there today.
You can start off if you want.
I'll let you.
Oh, thanks. This is only my opinion, but this is pushing the envelope right to the very, very edge of everything. Personally, I think the house is too big for the lot. I think the lot is too small. The back corner of that garage, and literally 6 inches off the deck, and you're in the 65. I see no way that this house can be built where you're going to build it and not encroach on the 65. which would require a variance. I understand you're trying to keep your 50-foot setback off the street. Personally, I'd like to see a Plan B. Whether that's go before ZBA and try to get some relief to the setback off the street, get some of this house out of the 100, in order to give you some usable backyard, because the way this is here, you have no yard. You have to get into the wetland buffer in order to have any kind of a yard to speak of. If a family buys this house, the kids are going to be in the wetlands. I'd love to find a way to make this work, but we looked at it today, and nobody said much of anything on the site, so I don't know how the other members feel. But I looked at it, and perhaps the septic could go over to the far right of the property, where it says proposed dry well 2 feet deep, which is just a writing. That's not where the dry well is. Maybe it could go over there, move the house forward 25 feet. If the ZBA will grant you that variance, it'll give you the bulk of that house out of the 100. The well is fine. Just some of my thoughts. It looks like we're trying to do too much on too small, completely too small an area. That's just my opinion, Mr. Chairman.
I agree with Mr. Germain. I would say that approximately 90% of the structure, including the garage, is within the 100 feet. There is no room to have construction equipment go around the dwelling without encroaching onto the wetland buffer. There's no work zone indicated on this. I see that the proposed tree line now includes a thin sliver of what I expect to be lawn going out towards the well, which would create, I suppose, the backyard. But again, that is just, that's all wooded area right now. And, you know, within the 100 feet, it says that, you know, it requires our permission to alter it. Now, to alter something just for a yard, that doesn't pass muster with me. This seems to me to be trying to shoehorn something into an area that it just can't be accepted. It's too much of the house being within the 100 feet, and you know, if we were to require as an order of conditions putting a fence along the 65-foot wetland buffer, that fence,
have the fence attached to the garage.
You'd have the fence attached to the garage, and no one would be able to go into the wetlands area from there. It just seems to me that this is too big a home. Too much of the 100-foot is being encroached upon, not only for the house itself, but for the lawn on both the south side of the structure and the east side on the other side of the driveway, within the 100-foot. There's an awful lot of alteration to the 100-foot buffer. So I would agree with what Mr. Germain said in trying to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to see if you can get some relief, not only maybe from the street setback, but also from the neighboring setback, and maybe turn the house 90 degrees so that it's a little closer to the property line and a little closer to Indian Street.
You'd also have, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you'd
Go
also
ahead.
have a driveway that would have to be a gravel surface, and now you'd have cars parking in that driveway outside the garage door. The cars would be parked there in the 100 because of the way the driveway is configured. So a vast portion of that driveway is in the 100. The garage is well in the 100. I just don't. There's too much going on with the plan. It's not like, you know, this little corner over here is in the 65 and we can live with that corner. This is everything is in the 100, with the exception of the septic system and the northern corner or the front corner of the house. I mean, about the front door is about all you can do and get into without hitting the 100-foot setback. If you try to go in the side entrance, you're in the 100-foot setback. If you try to get onto the deck and you come around the wrong side of you come around from the driveway side to go to the deck, you've walked into the 65 to get to it.
Right. And
so it's just a matter of time before that gets leveled out and whatever happens in just the normal course of events over, you know, somebody owning the property, before that starts to get filled in so that it can be accessible. I mean, I wouldn't want to be able to step out my back door and have this next piece of grass be something I couldn't touch. I'd say, yeah, okay, if you give it to me, and then eventually, as time went on, that would become less of an issue because it would get used. We've had these situations before where we've seen backyards that were right on the 65, and we've reacted the same way, frankly.
another thing that I just want to add here is that we as a commission are always concerned about setting precedent. And if we allow a structure that is 90% within the 100, what is to prevent someone from coming in next meeting with a structure that's 100% within? And we could easily make the argument that, well, you know, it's just a little bit more than the one you approved a week ago. So I'm unable to be a yes on this the way this plan is, the way this plan is shown right now. Any other?
After visiting the site, I agree too. You know, you guys came up with some very good comments, and I can't disagree with any of them. I mean, you guys are.
Mr. Badger.
I think the septic system is fine.
You think the septic's fine?
No,
the well's okay too, right?
It's
We have a problem with
in
the
truth, in truth, I can't. You know, everything that needs to be said has been said. If anything, you know, this body is looking for ways of improving previous standards as well. So again, I think shoehorn is probably the most appropriate term that was used in terms of what's being tried here. It's unfortunate. I don't view this as a buildable lot myself in terms of what is, unless you're talking about like a tiny house or something like that with a, you know.
I'd be willing to continue this and see if they want to come back with a plan B.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem looking at a plan B. And I don't have a problem with them seeing what they could do with zoning, although I'm not sure that zoning will quite work, but you know, perhaps a smaller house with no garage.
I would say a smaller house and then altering the orientation of that is a possibility.
Yeah.
Well, you'd still have to get some relief on the setback because
True.
they're right at the 50 feet from the street and right at the 30, almost 31 feet from the
Yeah.
side.
Yep.
There were additional homes that were built further down Indian Street within the last 3 or 4 years, and those, I don't know if it was the same developer who came to us, but we had some concerns with those homes as well, and they were able to reconfigure the orientation of the homes to move it quite a bit outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. You know, that's the kind of thing that we're looking for here. It is going to, obviously, for a house this size, it's going to take some relief from zoning Board of Appeals. But if you'd like to continue this until such time that you have been able to go to ZBA and see what you can do.
Can I just ask a couple questions?
Yes,
just
you
as
may.
I was taking some notes. I was going to ask about the smaller footprint. No, you mentioned small footprint, no garage may work, alter the orientation. You mentioned percentage of the structure within the 100-foot buffer. Is there a guidance as to how much structure you would allow within the 100-foot buffer? That's kind of...
We kind of look at it, if I may.
Go right ahead.
We kind of look at it as a common sense hardship kind of an idea. So in other words, if you come back in, and this is strictly hypothetical,
Yeah.
if you come back in with a new plan that relocates the septic, creates a smaller footprint, no garage, and then you reorient a little bit and get creative with some of this stuff, where only 50% of the house is in the 100, then we look at it from what it was to what it is, and if this is truly the best that's going to come out of this plan, or if you've gone to zoning and they said, we're not doing this for you. So now you come back here and you say, okay, we've redesigned the house, it's a 2-bedroom ranch, and it's going on this kind of a kitty corner thing, so it's exactly 50 feet off the street and exactly 30 feet off the side lot line, but now it's also 20 feet in off the 65, and there's no garage. Now, we look at it commonsensically and say, well, this is the very best you could do with this lot. So now I can't speak for the entire board, but I've seen situations in the past, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, where we've looked at that effort and said, you know, this is the best you can do with it, and we've kind of gone along with it. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, that's correct.
You know, we don't grade the attaboys, but we look at it from what we think is fair, and what we think you did that's fair, and how this all would work. So that's pretty much the angle we come at it from.
With new construction, it's avoidance and minimization. You know, that's, because there is no hardship, it's new construction.
Right.
Mr. Flaherty, can I ask you a question? It's just a thought here, and I don't know if it's allowable or not, but it seems to me that this little tongue of wetlands here is what's causing the majority of this property to be unbuildable.
Correct.
Is there the option of replication? Of moving that square footage of wetlands to the rear of the property?
There is a caveat in the rules. There's a 150 square foot on a finger like that. You can cleave off 150 square feet off the end of that.
Say it again?
Take this.
I don't know if you're aware of that, sir.
No.
Yeah. I don't have the statute off the top of my head, but it
Then
is
this
in the book.
goes
I
away.
can pull that, or
That
you can
becomes
look it
that.
up.
Is that local?
No, it's state.
State?
Yeah, you can clip off 150 square feet off a finger of a wetland.
What Sabri just said is to take this
Mm-hmm.
and put it over here.
Yeah,
So,
that's
so you
feasible.
bring this
So-
down here like this, that would move.
Do you understand
this
what-
all in.
There's also,
Take
like
the
I
finger
said,
and
there's
slide
there's
it
a
down.
statute in the state.
Yeah,
You can
that
cut
brings
off
all of your
150 square feet
makes it
wetlands, and
of,
it brings your
finger
whole
of
house, the way it is right now, and even, you could probably even move it
Try it.
further away from the road.
No, just to try, like you said,
Yeah.
alternatives. And then if not, then do the replication
So
thing.
maybe take a piece of this finger,
Yep.
take a piece of this finger and put it over here. That would reduce, that'd bring this back.
But try the 150 foot thing, see if that works for you first, and
Didn't
then
know
that
you
would
could
be
do
your
that.
second
I
alternative.
just thought of it.
It's really not a terrible idea if that would
No.
work.
Yeah.
And great, and I'm sure you guys can look that up easy enough, and Gary would be happy to work with you.
Yeah, I can help you. If you can't find it, I'll help you with the statutes.
Because that could be a
A lot of
win-win.
people don't use
If that
that anymore.
65 goes back
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was
30,
thinking.
40 feet, then that 100 comes back almost to the edge of the garage. We're only trying to
Right.
pick up 30 feet.
Yes, pretty much, not even. Yeah, about 30, I guess.
So if we could get the wetland buffer line, the 65, if that could get rolled back 30 feet or 35 feet, that would move the 100 back that 35 feet. That would put the 100 right at the edge of the garage or a little bit into the garage. That'd be okay. You know what I mean? That would be
Which is where
far
we
less
want-
of an impact.
Which is where we want it.
Yeah, it's that little tongue of wetlands that's causing all
Yeah,
these
that little
problems.
tongue of wetlands is what's killing it.
Yep,
But if you can replicate that down here,
yep,
then that eliminates it out of there.
yep. It does. So,
And that could be then you're not dealing with ZBA.
so let's continue this,
Sure.
Yeah.
and you can speak to the
You want to do that?
agent, go back to your engineers, or you're the engineer, rather.
I'm the engineer.
Yeah.
The, next to me, how far in advance do you need materials before a meeting?
Well, the legal ad's already in, so, you know,
This just
5 days a
continues
week.
now.
If you're gonna continue it, say to the 7th, right?
Yeah.
okay? And you can't make it, you just have to shoot me an email and in writing, which the email would be, and say, hey, I can't make it, can you do the following one after?
Sure.
Yeah, and the
But I'm saying
17th.
you don't need a new plan a week before or anything like
No.
that?
No, if you have it the night, because we're familiar with the property, we've done the site visit.
You've got the ball rolling.
Yeah,
Right.
other towns require a week, 2 weeks before.
No,
No.
but if you could actually, if you could send Gary, I'm sure you'd have it electronically.
Yeah.
If you could send him a copy of the plan, just he gets a little bit of a heads up, but we don't need it until the night of the.
Excellent. Yeah, I'd like to kindly request a continuance till September 7th then.
Sure.
All right,
I make a motion, we continue the 18 Indian Street and NOI DEP SE 126650 to September 7th
do I have a second?
at 7 PM. That way.
Second.
All right, we have 2 seconds. All right, it's been moved and seconded to continue DEP SE 126650 to Wednesday, September 7th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none?
Perfect.
We'll do that.
Thank you for your
Motion
time
to
and the suggestions. Thank you for the suggestions.
Okay. All right,
We did the minutes. Motion to adjourn.
second? It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none? We're done. Thank you, Area 58.